So my name is Stella Bida, and I've been invited here to talk to you around supporting women empowerment. But before I start and I present myself, I just wanted to highlight, let me check if I can. Does it work like that? Okay, I just wanted to highlight a few statistics that Lamine and Esther talked to me about regarding women. So they told me, Stella, you know what? Something happens meanwhile between school and law firms regarding women. There are a lot of women, representing 60% from the statistic I got from a study from the European Parliament. So 60% of the students are actually women. Now, what is wrong with women once they get into the law firms? I don't know what is wrong. I remember when I was younger that one of the top type of studies that women did, they were really proud to go to law school. But once they get into the firms, somehow it drops. Especially when we have very large firms, the partner women, the percentage really drops from 60% of women as students to less than 20%. So what happened meanwhile? I'm going to, during my speech, talk to you about my experience with working with women and the different points of blocking factors that I noticed regarding women and which could participate to this drop of figure. Before I start that, I will first present a bit of myself because I know there has been some questions. Stella, who are you? What do you do? So, Stella Bida, I'm originally from the Central African Republic. I'm born in Cameroon. I've lived in the US, in France, now in Belgium. I'm mainly a consultant for companies working around transformation and change, mainly around digital. But I'm a consultant and I also am a business strategist. But I'm going to give you here with some pictures a few things that I do apart from that. So I'm an IT engineer. So the engineers they were looking for in the video, here they are. IT engineer, I met a couple of months ago, Steve Wozniak, who's actually Apple co-founder, so it was a very nice experience. I love to meet and understand success, what it takes to succeed. So I love to meet and understand what has been the path of successful people. So here I'm giving a congratulations to Michael Douglas. I met a couple of months ago who actually won the Golden Globe this year, beginning of the year. I love to talk about entrepreneurship. And here I'm being interviewed in South Africa about entrepreneurship regarding small and medium-sized businesses. What does it take for these people in third world countries to succeed in their entrepreneurial journey? Here I have been honored last year to be in the top 10 of women who have inspired other women through the Global Women magazine. And in that top 10, I was with Mary Buffet, who is actually giving some investment strategies related to Warren Buffett, who is very, very wealthy, one of the wealthiest people in the planet, I would say. I love to study success, I told you that. So here, for example, I interview generally people around their success and their transformation. Here I'm interviewing Jessica Simpson, who's actually a singer, who has been a singer, and now is owner of a $1 billion fashion brand business. So I interviewed her regarding her transformation. Here I'm meeting Stephen Bradbury, who is an Olympic gold medalist, with an awesome story. You should look at his video while he was winning his Olympic gold because it was very special. Here I'm being awarded by the Minister of State in Belgium and the former president of Mali as a new leader for tomorrow. And last but not least, this is for next week. I'm a TEDx speaker. I've been invited in Rwanda to talk about innovation. So this is a bit about what I do besides being a consultant. Why am I emphasizing on this? Because as you may see, I'm not a typical successful person. I'm born in a third world country. I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm an IT engineer, but hey, guess what? I've done all of this. So it's just to show that my passion for studying success and looking at what successful people do and putting aside my circumstances has really helped me, one, to work with women, to work with people from other nationalities, from other countries, etc., but also to show them that if you follow a certain path, you can make it. Now, is it easy? Of course not, otherwise everybody would do it. But this is a passion of me to talk about success. So what I'm going to share with you today regarding women is based on my own experience as Stella, but also the experience I have working with other people, right? So the first part of this presentation, I'm going to give you different cases, what I call case of studies. And you might recognize yourself in these different cases. It's fine, and I would say it's even normal. The first case I want to talk about, what is blocking women once they need to go and to do something which is much more bigger than what they will have. The first case I have is the may I, can I. I think the pictures are not showing here, but it's okay. I will be very illustrative. The may I, can I situation is the situation where you don't even know what you don't know, right? May I, can I is asking yourself, you don't even know what you can expect because you've never seen it for real. In the video, they talked about cases where when people want to hire somebody, they generally hire the people who look like them. And on the other side, it's also valuable. When you want to go towards a project, you project yourself in what you know. If you're not aware of a situation, your head and your mind, your brain is not yet ready to think about a situation where you are to another level. That's the may I, can I. Has anybody of you ever been in that situation? Until you know something, you're like, but how come I've never thought about that before? It's because nobody has ever shown it to you. So there is a lack somehow of women getting into senior positions because they've never seen anybody looking like them as a woman, as really looking like them to project themselves and say, hey, you know what? If that person has done it, I can do it too. So there is somehow a lot of what I call role models, which represents all the diversity of the society and the type of women, so that the other women can say, hey, I can do it too if that person has done it. That's the case of may I, can I. The second case I want to talk about is the case of what if. The what if situation is what I call analyzing with paralysis. What does it mean? You know what you want. You know where you want to get. But somehow you're using a factor, what I call the dinosaur factor, right? Our mind is there to protect us. And for years it has been like that. And what he does is that when he wants to protect us, he's always giving us the reason not to accomplish something because it's too dangerous. What if I become a senior leader? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my partner? Will my environment like it? So we find all the reasons which exist to prevent us from doing something, and we end up not doing it. When I work with women, I find a lot of them who are always finding reasons not to do something, and these reasons end up being what I call excuses. The no thank you situation is something that I wanted to highlight, and it's a situation in which I have been myself. No thank you means that as a woman, we give you all the support. You have all the management support. You're in the right environment. You have the right network. The opportunity comes to you, but somehow you say, no thank you. I don't want to take it. And that happens often. And I'm wondering, I didn't find any figures on that, but I'm wondering what is the proportion of women who also have all the opportunities to go forward, but somehow end up saying, you know what? No thank you. And that exists. I know it because I've been there. I've been in a company where I was working in IT. I was one of the only women. Everything was on my side. When the opportunity came to me to be in a senior leading position, I said no thank you. And I wanted to highlight that. That's also one of the reasons why we notice that there is less women up there. But we don't often talk about it. So what should we do? These are the different types of situations that we have. May I, can I? I'm wondering, I don't even know because I'm not aware of the fact that I can get there. The no thank you case that we just saw. what should we do regarding that? So there are different solutions which can exist. I see that it doesn't show the pictures, but it's okay. I will.
Sure why. Strange.
Yeah.
Like that? No.
Yeah, there was an illustration, but it's okay. I'll try to explain that. So which solutions should we do? We know that generally there are policies which are being thought of. For example, the quotas policies. There are different solutions which are trying to be found, but which are external to the woman herself. The solutions I'm going to propose you today are solutions that I call coming from within. I think it's always, let's say, easier to try to change ourselves, which is something that we can somehow control, rather than waiting external factors to change in order us to advance. So the different solutions I'm going to propose are somehow something different that I wanted to propose, and which are going to look at the woman herself and find out which solutions can she put in place in order not to wait for the policies to exist, right? So the first solution I wanted to talk about is what I call elevate the standards. So we had the first case, it was can I, may I. When you elevate your standards and you put yourself in a situation where you're always seeing bigger than what you know, you're actually training your brain to start implementing thought process paths in the brain and start seeing things bigger. When I met Tony Robbins, do anybody know Tony Robbins? He's one of the top life strategists in the world. And he talks about elevating your standards and putting yourself in situations which are really challenging for you and which go broader than what you know. When you do that, your brain is being trained to find solutions which are above the standards that you currently have. If you're used to having clients from, let's say, 1,000 euro, and you train your brain, you tell them, now I want clients of 1 million euros, your brain will extend. So when I work with women, and we have different situations like that, I encourage them to put themselves uncomfortable in situations where they are uncomfortable, and they put themselves where they really look broader, higher, bigger than what they already know. Does it make sense for you? I would recommend you an exercise. I don't know in which situation you can do it. But for example, if you gave yourself a goal to go for 10, try to tell your brain, I will go for 100. You will be amazed by the different solutions that you will find and you will put in place, because your brain is trained to go much more wider than before. So when I work with women, I tell them to elevate their standards towards what they currently have. The second solution I want to talk about is what I call the PBLN cycle. The PBLN cycle is represented into 4 steps. And the objective of the cycle is to take all the experience that women have, so at the end, they can make it valuable towards the new senior leading position that they want. What I mean by that is that often when I meet women, they tend to hide and not talk about what they have done in such a way that it's, I would say, sexy. So they don't value what they did. They don't value their experience. They don't know how to position it. So the first step of the PBLN cycle is showing them how do you position your past experience so that you have better chance of finding something which is more into a senior position. So generally it touches to presentation. How do you present yourself? How do you craft your message? How do you show what you have done? How do you show your experience in such a way that it's better, valuable than what you would have told somebody in the beginning? So this is an important point of the cycle. The second point of the PBLN cycle is doing what I call the branding part. Branding represents the perception that people have of you. I meet a lot of women who have a lot of experience to sell back, but they don't know how to brand themselves, how to give a better perception of the experience so that they aspire to bigger and senior roles. So when we start working together, I show them how to brand themselves, how to increase their personal branding in such a way that they're taken seriously and that they have the respect from their counterparts. We don't teach a lot branding in school. It's something that men know how to do a lot. When a man wins something, he will tell you that he has won, and you will get the point. When a woman wins something, she's shy. She doesn't always want to show it. It's like it's bragging for her. And so I tell them, no, you have to own your personal branding and you have to be proud of what you have won. The next step is what I call leverage. So once they know how to position themselves and then they are branded, I show them how to leverage their experience and make it appealing for the senior leading positions that they have. Because the last step here is about networking. Once everything is ready, once they know how to talk about themselves, about their experience, I want them to put themselves in a position where they meet the right people. They meet the right people. As in the video, I think they talked about going into networks where they meet the people they're going to talk to in these senior leading positions. Often, it's only men. So I force them, I encourage them to put themselves in a very in an uncomfortable situation where they are obliged and forced to speak about what they do, to network and meet the people that they're going to speak with in these senior leading positions. So it is a cycle which is a bit like in different steps. When I work with them, we go into depth, we look at their experience, how to position it, where to go, because everything is related to strategy. They have to do things strategically. So this is what I talk to them about. The last step about the solution is creating your own supportive environment. Now, obviously, as they're transforming, they're going to have some challenges in their environment, right? Maybe their family, their partners, their children. So I encourage them to build that supportive environment which keep them in peace regarding their transformation. Because some people might not understand why they're doing that. Some people might not understand their objectives. So they have to create themselves that supportive environment so that whenever something goes wrong, they still can bounce back and find back the peace of their family, of their children, their partners, etc. So these are the solutions I wanted to propose you. And in conclusion, I wanted to say that I think that despite the different solutions and the policies that we're trying to find outside the sphere of control of women, I think it's also great to show them how they can build their own tools to support their transformation towards senior leading positions. This is what I do with them. This is a passion of mine. I study success and I give them the tools so that they don't wait that an external factor is there before they can aspire to their goals. Thank you.